Good evening, this is Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Tonight, Lalit Modi got away, Vijay Mallya got away, and then Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi got away. Just like that, all of them mocking the system, fleeing the country, not facing the music for their crimes. Now the government of India has finally woken up. And today the cabinet cleared a new law that will enable authorities to confiscate the properties of fugitives involved in large-scale economic offences. The BJP clearly wants to send out the message that it's serious about fighting corruption, and that's exactly what we're talking about tonight, because this is now a huge political issue. And the question is, will corruption and who fought it harder, who fought it better, become the central theme of the 2019 general election campaign? Has the Nirav Modi scandal irreparably hurt the BJP? But has the case against Karti Chidambaram dented the Congress's attack? We're going to talk about that in some detail. Also tonight, the State Bank of India, ICICI, and yes, even Punjab National Bank have increased their lending rates today, which means your home loans are going to get more expensive. So what's going on here? Nirav Modi gets to swindle the Punjab National Bank of over 12,000 crores and run away from the country. But here, from capital gains tax to this, it's the middle class that appears to be taken for a ride while the scamsters get away. What do you think? Write to us. Tweet us. But first, let's talk about the tough new law against economic offenders that the government has cleared this evening. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley announced the move, saying that the proposed law would enable the government to confiscate the properties of fugitives involved in large-scale economic offences. That's more than 100 crores. They say that assets abroad will also be confiscated.
It will lead to confiscation of all his assets in India. It's not merely proceeds of crime or profits of crime, but it will be applicable to all his assets. और इन assets में अगर उसके कोई बेनामी assets भी होंगे, तो वो भी इसके अंदर तहत शामिल किए जाएंगे। इसमें एक और प्रावधान डाला है, जिसके लिए एक इंटरनेशनल कोऑपरेशन का एक मैकेनिज्म बनेगा बाद में, क्योंकि ये समस्या विभिन्न देशों की है। विदेशों में भी जो एसेट्स होंगे, उनको भी कॉन्फिस्केट करने का अधिकार होगा।
Well, my colleague Ornitham joining us with more details on that big development today. So how exactly is this going to work, Ornitham? How exactly is the government going to propose to do this? When does it come into effect? And B, how do you confiscate assets abroad without the help of other countries?
Nidhi, now first, of course, about by when will this law become applicable? Of course, first up, this particular bill will be introduced in the coming session of Parliament, which starts on Monday. So once the stamp of approval is given by the Parliament, it becomes the law. Now, one key point there, as far as the applicability of the law is, the Finance Minister Jaitley told media people, briefing media people today, that anyone avoiding law on the day the law comes into effect will be covered by the provisions of the bill. Now, this is point number one. Point number two, the accused will be given 6 weeks' time from the date of the special court issuing notice to him to appear at a specific time and location. In case the accused is unable to do so, then he will be declared fugitive by this particular special court that will be set up under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Once he is declared fugitive, the government will have the power to confiscate his property and in fact sell the property off to pay the creditors. Now, this is something new compared to the existing laws. Also, the government felt that the existing laws, like the Sarfazi Act and other laws which are now being used to kind of address the present issue, does not have those additional provisions to go after high value offenders and also those people who have left the country. Hence, this bill, this piece of legislation is being brought into play.
All right. All right, thanks very much for that, Onitam. And let's get straight to the point tonight. Paranjoy Gohatakurta, senior journalist and analyst, joining us here in the studio. We have Aarti Jairath, our political commentator, with us, debuting at 9 o'clock. With us, Prandeep Bhadari, political analyst, founder of Jan Ki Baat. We also have with us Pawan Khera of the Congress Party, Pawan Verma, spokesperson of the JDU, Hitesh Jain, member of the BJP, also joining us shortly. But before we go to them, let's just take a look at what happened in Karti Chidambaram's case today. The former finance minister's son, who was arrested in a corruption case, will now be in the CBI's custody till the 6th of March, as he was sent away by the court today. In fact, the judge said that he's not going to get home-cooked food, but did allow him to keep his gold chains on. The CBI had asked for 2 weeks custody, arguing that Karti is not cooperating. He is expected to be confronted with other suspects in the case. He's been accused of getting government clearance for foreign investments worth around 300 crores in the television company INX Media in exchange for bribes in 2007. Investigators say that he used the influence of his father, who was then the finance minister, a claim that Karti and his father have denied.
The full Chidambaram family at the CBI court. The former minister flying in from London with wife and lawyer Nalini, with top Congress lawyer Abhishek Manu Singhvi to boost their son Karti's defence strategy.
Karti Chidambaram's first night wasn't really spent in police custody. The CBI revealed that during the health checkup, which is a part of the protocol, they suggested that he should be taken for cardiac checkup. So, till 7 in the morning, he was at the hospital's critical care.
And so Karti Chidambaram's questioning only happened till mid-afternoon, which is why the investigating agency, which accuses him of taking up to 3 crores in bribes in return for a favourable decision by the finance ministry, wants his custody for 14 days. Karti's lawyers argued there was no need for custody since he'd appeared for questioning. There was no question of favouring INX Media when the finance minister ordered an investigation against them. Indrani's statement indicting Karti was unreliable and related to a decade-old incident, and reports of payments and accounts abroad were wrong and based on innuendo.
There was neither flight risk, nor non-cooperation, nor tampering. These are the only 3 bases for denying remand or for granting remand.
But the CBI countered this by saying that Karti wasn't available for questioning when summoned, in fact legally challenged them. That the SFIO probe ordered by Mr. Chidambaram was in fact a threatening tactic, and he cleared the foreign investment after it. The CBI also said that Indrani wasn't forced by them to indict Karti, that she had given her details about INX much earlier, and this was just corroborated by the CBI. They said custody was imperative because they had to question him about all the leads they had obtained.
The court has now granted a 5-day custody to the Central Bureau of Investigation. Karti will now be produced next in court on 6th of March. After this decision, there was an emotional moment in court as P. Chidambaram, with a worried face, told his son, "Please take care," and he replied in Tamil saying, "Don't worry, I will." From New Delhi with Arunachalam Vaidyanathan, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
Lots of colour there in court. Well, Paranjoy Gohatakurta, let's talk about this. Let's first talk about this new bill that the cabinet has cleared today for economic offenders. Good thing? Will it help? How will it work?
Excellent idea. Should have come much earlier. It clearly shows that the government has been rattled by this entire Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi affair. It's interesting. Every day something new comes up. Will they take similar action against Robert Vadra, against former Haryana Chief Minister, Mr. Khattar? They're all waiting to be done. Today the Congress mentioned Jatin Mehta and Winsome Diamonds, related by marriage to the Adani family. Will the government now take action against a whole lot of accusations, including allegations of over-invoicing equipment? Will they take action against the Ambanis? I'm naming names. Why am I naming names? It's very important. You talk about the SFIO report on INX. Go through that report. I put it up in the public domain some years back in the Hoot. It names also Reliance Group. How much will they dig? It's very easy to say Benami. It's far more difficult to actually establish that a particular property is being held by somebody else on behalf of somebody else. Very good to say that we're going to bring you back, right? How will you work through with countries you don't have extradition agreements with? Example, St.
How do you
Kitts.
confiscate properties
Precisely.
Abroad
Correct.
also without cooperation of other countries. So
Absolutely.
which is what
Interpol.
I was wondering
You have
as well.
to get Interpol.
It's more complicated than
Absolutely.
it seems.
Jatin Mehta, the Winsome Diamonds, he is now a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. I mean, the government of India allowed him to relinquish his Indian citizenship. How do you bring him back? He's no longer an Indian citizen. The question is, fine, great politics, great optics, what will happen? Time will tell. This government has about 15 months or a little more to go, but it clearly shows it's been rattled by the impact that this entire Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi, this entire affair has had on the public impression of Mr. Modi. And now you're having the Congress party, Pawan's party, tweaking that slogan, na khaunga, na khane dunga, pack karke le jaunga ki nahi khana. All these things are now happening.
Let me ask Hitesh Jain about this. Hitesh Jain, is that what it is? Would you admit that the government today finally woke up to bringing in this bill, which actually has been pending for a while? In fact, my colleague Sunil Prabhu wrote a story on this and the proposal to bring this in, I think, last year sometime, and it's been pending since then. But would you admit that the Nirav Modi case has really shaken the government into action, which some could say is a good thing? At least the government's finally acting.
Well, 2 points. I mean, more than the government, it is like of the previous speaker who was speaking. He appears like rattled because this is the first time, like, I've represented a lot of people in the 2G, CWG matters. I've seen the same kind of speakers who have come, they give the moral science lectures on the channel and all. And today they are trying to come, oh, this is difficult to prove, that is difficult to prove.
So I was a petitioner in the 2G scam, for your information. I was a petitioner in the 2G scam.
I did not interfere when you were speaking.
I'm just clarifying the point,
Have
sir.
some patience. Hear me out. Don't get rattled.
I'm not in
Don't
the
get
least rattled.
So, I mean, like, I've represented the accused in the 2G case. I have represented the accused in CWG case, including the members of the Congress party also. And this was the same argument on the basis of which they arrested and they sought custody and all. So I'm surprised, like, today someone is speaking on the language of, rattled or proving and all. So let's leave it at that point. As far as the law is concerned, it's a tough measure. This is not the only measure that has been taken. The host of the measures that have been taken, you can see the intent of the government. The intent of the government is not to hide the NPS below the carpet, but the idea is to bring out in the public, take the decisions, take the action. They are not afraid. Like, unlike what happened in 2008 to 2013, when there was more NPA, you gave more loan to cover the NPA. So none of this thing is happening. The measures are very clear. The intent is very clear. The government has done in the past and it will continue to do so.
Well, let me take that to Mr. Pawan Verma of the JDU. Mr. Verma, do you think that this ultimately is a step that sends a signal that we're serious about fighting corruption, or do you think that the horse has bolted, and quite literally here in this case, many horses?
No, I welcome the bill, but I agree with the basic point that this kind of bill should have come earlier. Because since you use the analogy of horses, several have already bolted, left the stable, and can't be brought back that easily. We had Vijay Mallya, then we had Lalit Modi. And in the case of Mr. Nirav Modi, I believe action taken in advance, greater vigilance and accountability systems within public sector banks would have prevented a scam of this nature, which has siphoned off money belonging to the ordinary citizen and allowed an offender to escape. But having said that, we welcome a law. The second question is, when you make a law, I'm sure the government will apply its mind to how well it can be implemented, especially where the question of seizing foreign assets are concerned. You can't bring about an extradition. And here you are speaking about seizing foreign assets, which means a great deal of litigation involving foreign courts, by which time, in most likelihood, the government that is prosecuting and the offender who has offended will both have ceased to exist. So it is a question that the government should consider, but if they are taking more stringent action, even at this late stage, it is to be welcomed.
All right. Well, let me ask Pawan Khera, the other Pawan on the panel today. Look, the messaging that will go out today politically is that we're doing something. And you have, on one hand, the finance minister announcing that we've got this tough new measure in place, okay? And on the other hand, you have Karti Chidambaram going away for 5 days CBI custody. I am talking to you, Pawan Khera, today about the perception about how this is playing out. And yet, of course, the ghost of Nirav Modi hangs very much over all this.
Nidhi, it was, I think L.K. Advani said this is a government which is, Modi ji is very good at event management. He is even better at headline management. Now when Nirav Modi, Chota Modi started haunting him, suddenly Karti was arrested. The poor guy was cooperating all along with the CBI. There was no need to arrest him without any provocation whatsoever. He could have been asked to sit from morning to evening.
They would have a poor guy, of course.
Whatever, I mean. But just to cover Nirav and Mehul, suddenly everybody's, you know, this reminds me of how we behaved in UPA 2 in the last year and a half. I'm being very honest with you, very upright with you. That's exactly how we behaved, and look what happened to us. Exactly, this is the road which Mr. Modi and Mr. Jaitley and Mr. Amit Shah are traveling on. भाई चोर को कहते हैं भाग जा, और फिर चौकीदार को कहते हैं जाग जा.
You're saying they're making the UPA's mistakes.
In fact, worse, we got caught because of our poor communication skills. They, despite very rich communication skills, and a lot of scams, Rafale, they changed Rafale ka pura, the entire narrative on Rafale is over. They think it's over. It's not over yet. Jai Shah, nobody talks about it because they swiftly bring something or the other just to change the headline. But headlines don't matter. It's a cumulative impact of various headlines against you on the minds of the voters, which will decide the outcome of 2019.
But Pawan, to be fair, in the Karti Chidambaram case, yes, there are many questions legal luminaries are also raising about whether it warranted an arrest like this when he had his last summons 6 months ago and hadn't been summoned thereafter, etc. Those questions are being raised. However, the court has also not given the CBI the 14 days that they wanted. It's given them at the end of the day 6 days, 5 plus 1 that they gave yesterday, 1. 2, the CBI at least claims that it has much more evidence, which of course has to be proven in court, and there are some serious question marks about Karti Chidambaram's links with these companies that the CBI says got bribes, which we have reported. So in this case, the timing may be suspect, but maybe the case does have merit and it has to go through the court of law.
The merits or the demerits of the case will be decided in months to come. My simple submission is, why was he arrested when he was adhering to everything that you wanted him to adhere to? Whether it was the ED, whether it was the CBI, he also went to the Supreme Court, the hearing is on the 23rd. Why? Where was the need? The need emanated from the fact that they needed to immediately change the headline, which was Chota Modi. They were so, Chota Modi is really dangerous for them.
Okay, is it about changing the headline from Chota Modi?
I don't think so. Let's understand. First of all, he's not the poor guy. Anybody accused of corruption should not be spared, and there should be no compromise of corruption. That is point number one.
Although he's been accused officially of taking a 10 lakh rupee bribe.
No, after that, the recent evidence that the CBI has presented in the court says that they've got very shocking evidences where the bribe would not just be 10 lakhs. Under section 41 clause C of the CRPC.
So far they said 10 lakhs, but yes they're claiming that they have more.
Today the arguments which was presented in the court, where the defense lawyer could also make its case, the hearing went on for more than 4 hours, and after that the respective the magistrate reasoned it out well and gave him 5 days of custody. And any investigation agency, as per section 6 of 41(6) of CRPC, can arrest an accused if they believe that the accused can tamper with the evidence, or as per arresting the accused can help in cooperation in the investigation. So I think it is lawfully done. Point number one. Point number two, I don't think so. It is the government is rattled. There were two fundamental problems with Nirav Modi scam. Number one, the auditors were not in check, and number two, the assets. He ran away, and you could not confiscate the assets.
Why didn't this law come in earlier?
No, it is responsiveness, right? Whenever you see there is some deficiency in the system,
that's when being rattled as a response.
No, rattled isn't. I think rattled is a sense of panic, but responsiveness is something where you say that okay, there's a problem, and you need to fix that problem. How do you fix the problem? By bringing in a law which will be debated in the parliament, where the finer nuances on how do you confiscate the property when you have two countries into picture, the respective lawmakers will. What else will you do? Let us understand what else will you do.
Lalit Modi ran away a long time ago.
If the government does not act, you will say, why are they sitting down on corruption? If the government brings a very stringent law on corruption, you're saying, why is the government bringing a law and is rattled? I don't understand. Action is also a problem. Inaction is also a problem. I think then that is something which is wrong.
Okay, Aarti Jairath, the political...
small intervention. The question that remains is whether it will be bought in the form of a money bin.
That, of course, changes everything.
That's interesting, because then they don't have to get the approval of the Rajya Sabha.
Yes, Aarti Jairath, How are the political optics playing out at this moment? We're going to head into another parliament session. The optics have been terrible for the BJP over the last few weeks with the Nirav Modi case. Do you think the Karti Chidambaram story has made the Congress's job more difficult, or do you think that the shadow of the Nirav Modi case is just so big, the scandal so enormous, that it's not going to go away that quickly?
It's certainly not going to go away, Nidhi. And I mean, I really don't expect Parliament to function at least for the first 1 week, because on one side they'll be shouting Nirav Modi, on the other side they'll be shouting Karti Chidambaram. So you can see the kind of lockdown that's going to happen. You know, the point is, Nidhi, you can bring in all kinds of stringent laws, and it's very good if you have stringent laws, you know, to curb corruption. But I think what people want is action. They want to see not just an arrest, they want to see somebody actually convicted for corruption. Now, you know, I mean, Nirav Modi has escaped. I doubt if you're going to be able to bring him back. God knows where he is, you know.
Not.
You've not been able to bring back Vijay Mallya. You've not been able to bring back Lalit Modi. You've at least arrested Karti Chidambaram today. He's here. He hasn't run away. He's here. Now convict the guy. If he's guilty of all that you're saying, then do a quick trial and convict him, so that you can tell people that, look, I am serious about tackling corruption. I'm putting people behind bars. You know, 2G scam, people were arrested. They spent 9-10 months in jail. Bureaucrats, you know, business people and everything. And what happened finally to the whole 2G case? It just fell flat. And the judge, you know, ticked off the CBI, saying that I spent my vacation days waiting for you to produce witnesses and evidence. Nobody came. So, you know, the arrest is not the thing. It is a conviction, and I'm sorry, the CBI has a very poor record on conviction.
I think arrest is the first step towards conviction. Conviction will happen in due process of law. You cannot have the court convicting a person immediately after he's arrested. The respective guilty also needs to be presented in the court. The defense lawyer will also make the case. So it cannot happen in months, ma'am. It is a due process of law.
The charge sheet, arrest and then say you arrest first and then convict.
You can arrest an individual despite a charge sheet, which is
all we're saying is that do the conviction also.
It should happen to the
Then
judiciary.
do the conviction as well.
Not just
arrest.
What is happening?
Okay, one second.
You cannot have it in a day, ma'am.
Pradeep Bhandari, I don't know if you're from the BJP, but I want you to respond. If Hitesh is not there, what about Mukul Roy and Narayan Rane? They are now spick and span clean, absolutely clean. Tell me.
May
I just get Pawan
Otherwise, I
Verma?
won't talk about Sahara Diaries because Paranjay broke the story. He should.
I'm coming back to that. 1 second. Pawan Verma wants to come in on that point. Pawan Verma, the point is that when we head into a general election, one is getting the sense from the Prime Minister's recent speeches, etc. He's focusing a lot, again, on the Congress, on the Gandhis in particular, on this issue of corruption. Is that what it's going to be about? That, look, this is, I'm reminding you what these guys did in their second term, and you have to give me another chance.
Well, you know, corruption becomes a football played between major political parties and subordinate parties, or smaller parties at the time of corruption, and the BJP played that game well. It may be another matter that the 2G judgment came later, but they paralyzed the last years of the UPA 2 government. Now, I have 2 or 3 points to make quickly. First of all, I would advise the Congress, while raising the issue of political vendetta for political reasons, to accept the fact that Mr. Chidambaram, Karti Chidambaram's case is now sub judice, and a proper defense will have to be put up. In what is an exceptionally complicated deal, they may be in the right, but they'll have to prove it in court, as indeed the CBI will have to. Secondly, you can question CBI's activism. The Supreme Court itself has called it a cage parrot in some cases and the lack of it in other cases. And that is visible. For instance, in the Vyapam case, the Lalit Modi case, in many other cases, we hear nothing in the news. But there is an activism, but it's a duly constituted agency which says it is pursuing the battle against corruption. So the case has to be now fought on facts and not merely on political. As far as what Aarti said, of course it will be a deflectionary tactic, because against one allegation of corruption, the treasury benches will put up another allegation of corruption. And in politics, at the time of elections particularly, It's very difficult for one party to say that it is entirely clean and the other is not. So this battle too will be passed. Lastly, to the BJP, I want to say, if you are selective in the battle of corruption, you appear to be a crusader in some cases and complicit in other cases. And that is not a happy perception for any government that says its war is against corruption.